Hi guys, this is Mike and this will be a shootout between the Sigma 16mm prime lens, the Meike 16mm prime lens and the Panasonic 12-35mm Mark II zoom lens, which we will set to 16mm. Did you notice something strange, by the way? Yeah, this is not the Panasonic. This is a stand-in because I'm filming on it right now. You are so quick. With two eyes. Okay guys, before we start, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. These type of videos take a long time to shoot and edit, and your subscription would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. Okay, so I have these three lenses in front of me. First, let's talk about the quality of build. And it's quite surprising actually, but the Meike 16mm lens feels the most sturdy. It's made out of metal, it feels heavy and just very trustworthy. Also, the two manual rings for focus and aperture feel super smooth, so bonus points for that. Second place goes to the Sigma. It is made out of plastic, but still feels very heavy and solid. Not as solid as the Meike though. Third place goes to the Panasonic, which does feel a little bit flimsy in comparison to the other two. Let's talk about features. Here, in my opinion, the Panasonic wins, as it comes with a built-in optical image stabilizer. Plus, on most Panasonic cameras, you can also activate electronic image stabilization when using this lens. Then it has a very fast autofocus and it is splash, dust and freeze proof, so it really could be the perfect all-weather run-and-gun lens. The Sigma has no image stabilization and it's not all-weather proof, but at least it is dust and splash resistant. It does have autofocus though, and we will test how good it works a little bit later. The Meike on the other hand is a dedicated cine lens, so no autofocus, but that is a feature, not a bug. I really fell in love with setting the aperture and focus by hand, and I will show you samples with that. It doesn't seem to be weather sealed either, which is a little bit of a bummer, and it has no image stabilization as well. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, let's start with the first sample video. Let's take a look at the portrait capabilities of these lenses and check their autofocus. Okay, so as you might know, 16mm is not the typical go-to portrait lens. Usually portrait photographers or video makers are using lenses like 50mm and above, because these kind of wide-angle lenses, and basically a 16mm lens is a wide-angle lens, tend to distort your facial features, and I can already see in this small display here that my nose is looking unproportionally huge. But I reckon that maybe some of you guys want to know if you can do portraits with these types of lenses, and yes you can, but it will always be a compromise. While we're at it, I can see the camera doing its best to autofocus. While we're at it, there's a single focus point right in the middle of the screen, and it's here. Let's see how the camera behaves when I move to the side. It should focus on the background and now back to me. Yeah, and it seems to do so. One more test. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I have this lens for like a couple of months now, and I know that it is a very fast autofocus, especially in good light conditions. So here's a nice ring light in front of me, and that's what I would call a good light condition. It does seem to struggle a little bit in like dawn or at night, but yeah, so here it seems to work, and that was the Panasonic. Let's switch to the Sigma. Okay, so this is the Sigma, and the autofocus is engaged. By the way, if you think that, wait a second, the framing looks totally different than on the Panasonic, that very well may be, because you have to realize that because the Panasonic is a zoom lens, I basically have to guess where 16mm is. There's a mark for 12mm, there's a mark for 14mm, and then there's a marking for 18mm. So I guess 16mm is, you know, perfectly in the middle between 18 and 14, but it could be one like millimeter to the left or to the right, and we have a totally different framing. What I also noticed is that even on the two fixed prime lenses, the Meike and the Sigma, the framing isn't perfectly the same. I don't know why that is. I guess because they have a different length maybe, but it's not perfect. So that was one thing I discovered. But yeah, so this is the Sigma. I set all these lenses to 2.8 because the Panasonic is f2.8 and I wanted to give them fair chances. Let's see how the autofocus performs. Here I am again. By the way, if you wonder why the brightness goes up and down, it's because I set the ISO to automatic. Just for this sample, usually I don't, but I knew that I was going to do the autofocus test and the background is a little bit darker. So yeah, once again. Yeah, I mean it does work. It doesn't seem to be as fast as the Panasonic. Yeah, but it does work. And yeah, so that was the portrait and the autofocus test for the Sigma. Let's switch to the Meike. Okay, so this is the Meike 16mm lens in a portrait situation. Of course, it doesn't have autofocus, but at this close proximity, it's no problem to manually focus for me because we're only like 40 centimeters away from the camera. I can easily focus to the background if I want to, or to my face. Thank God for focus assist, by the way, which is a great feature. Whoever came up with that should win like the Nobel Prize for YouTubers. Yeah, so that is the Meike, and let's go to sample number 2, which is close-up and bokeh. Peace. Right, so to make a long story short, I feel that all three lenses perform very good in close-ups. The bokeh, on the other hand, is interesting. Of course, you get a totally different effect on the Sigma when you set it to F1.4. The lights are more bloomy, almost overpowering, but it makes for an interesting effect. The bokeh balls themselves are, I would say, lemon-shaped here, but get rounder the more you open the aperture. Unfortunately, you always kind of see edges in the bokeh balls, which I didn't expect. This is the Sigma at f2.2, and now let's look at the Meike. I really like these bokeh balls. They are almost perfectly round, but there seem to be some spots there, like, I don't know, maybe that's dust or something, no idea. Okay, that was f2.2, now let's set it to f2.8. And here's the Sigma at 2.8. And here is the Panasonic. The Panasonic has nice bokeh balls, but there seems to be some kind of texture inside them. I almost feel that it's too distracting for some shots. I still kind of like the bokeh on the Meike the most, although I do wish it didn't have those strange spots there. Okay, the next couple of samples are landscape shots at different light conditions. There's nothing really to say here, other than there are slight differences in framing and colors, but you will see that for yourself. Enjoy! Okay guys, now is the time for my opinion, and I have to say this time it wasn't easy, because all of these lenses have certain pros and cons. So let's talk about that, and let's start with the Panasonic. Short version, in my opinion it's the best general use lens. It produces the most modern, sharpest image out of these three. It is weather sealed, has autofocus, has image stabilization built in, and being a zoom lens, it's really versatile when framing your scene. The downsides are, at f2.8 it is the slowest lens in the Shootout, and you will struggle to achieve a screamy, cinematic looking bokeh as on the other two lenses, the Sigma especially. I will definitely keep it for my YouTube work, but I wouldn't use it for short movies or video clips that are supposed to look cinematic. The biggest downside though is the price. At almost $1,000 new, it's double the price of both the Sigma and the Meike. Or to put it differently, you could buy both the Sigma and the Meike for the price of the Panasonic. So who is this lens for? I would say definitely for YouTubers and vloggers, because it's sharp and fast enough, and the zoom comes in super handy when setting up your shots. Also, I would say it's a great lens for run and gun purposes, with the O.I.S, the zoom and the fast autofocus shining in that area. If you're interested in that, give it a go, but definitely try to buy a used one in a good condition. You can save a lot of money that way. Okay, now let's talk about the Meike. There is really a lot to love about this lens. It's cheap, it's affordable. Actually, it might be the cheapest cine lens on the market right now. Despite the low price tag, it has the best quality of build in the Shootout, and I really fell in love with playing around with the manual focus and the aperture, especially because the rings feel so buttery smooth. The only negative thing I can think of really is the yellow tint that this lens produces, but even that is easily fixable in post. So if you want to try out a cine lens, definitely give this one a try. Okay, and the last lens is the Sigma. What can I tell you? In my opinion, this lens produces the most pleasant image in the Shootout. First of all, it's super fast, which equals gorgeous bokeh if you want it. And then it has the right amount of sharpness and softness to produce a pleasant cinematic look. At $400 it's very competitively priced, and it's just a joy to work with. If you go just for the quality of your footage, this is definitely the lens for you. Okay guys, that was my Shootout, and I hope you liked it. Let us know in the comment section which lens you liked best, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one. Bye.